Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation, folks. Let's just talk a little bit about the latest coming from how this case with the Breonna Taylor killing, how the cop, Brett Hankerson, has now been, a mistrial has happened in that case, and what are the implications? We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, black voters are showed power in 2023 election. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit of how it may be a change of narrative in this whole conversation about the president, the vice president losing black voters. We'll have that conversation. Also, Ghana is looking to help black Americans with the reparations conversation by establishing a global reparations fund. We'll share with you the latest about that. And it's been a hell of a week for the black celebrity. 3 different cases, 3 major conversations happening on social media about black celebrities and what we can all glean from it. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Happy Friday. It is officially the Friday before the Thanksgiving week, because next Friday is going to be Black Friday, as they call it, right? Yep, Black Friday. But happy Friday today, folks, and we truly appreciate you joining in as we're streaming live on a number of different platforms. Our first platform is our home platform of blackstarnetwork.com. Please check us out there at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app on all of your devices for free, and also follow us on social media. But the big thing we're asking from you is to help us to continue to power us in this digital movement. So you can make financial donations right there on our website and be a part of the stakeholders of the Black Star Network. Again, go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Also, we're streaming live on Amazon News on your Fire TV. You can check us out there, as well as on Amazon Prime Video. And you can find us there under Live TV, the news, or find us at amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV, the news. And we're also on Freevee. You can find us on now under news, as well as on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, folks, let's talk a little bit about what's going on as the crew is loading up in the chat. And you could do the same thing as be a part of our illustrious culture crew. This is the group of folks that are checking in from all around the country and some parts of the world to be a part of the conversation. And no conversation is complete without you, folks. So make sure you join us on Roland Martin's YouTube page and be a part of the culture crew today as we have these discussions. And big shout out to the crew. I see my pastor, Pastor Damon Blissett. I see the ABX girl checking in. Gloria Taylor Davenport, she's already checked in and she's already given something to the Bring the Funk fan club, level 1. Gloria Taylor Davenport, thank you. Truly appreciate it. Conscious Thought, I see you. Thank you so much, brother, connecting with us once again. Cindy D, I see you, sis. Good to connect with you. Pauline, good to connect with you as well. Tiana, I think, is that Tiana I see him? I don't see Tiana just yet. I want to see Tiana. Tiana, make sure you check in. And all of my illustrious culture crew members joining us, be a part of the conversation right now. Roland Martin's YouTube page. All right, folks, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with this situation and the killing of our sister Breonna Taylor. This, of course, has been one of the big conversations, or one of the big cases, rather, that's a part of the overall conversation about police brutality, excessive force. And, of course, Breonna Taylor has been, I would say she has been lifted up. She has been lifted up. Her name, her face, her story has been lifted up as part of this larger tapestry about saving and protecting Black women, along with the conversation about police brutality. Out of Louisville, Kentucky, it was determined and declared a mistrial yesterday after the jury deadlocked on the civil rights charges against the former Louisville police officer, Brent Hankerson. Hankinson. Brett Hankerson was charged with using excessive force that violated the rights of Breonna Taylor, according to the reports. Her boyfriend and her next door neighbor. Hankerson was responsible in firing 10 shots into Breonna Taylor's window and a glass door out after the officers came under fire during the failed drug warrant search on March 13th, 2020. Can you believe it? It's been over 3.5 years since that situation went down, and we're still not at a place of really holding this former officer accountable. And the big thing about this, as people have been talking about this, is the fact that the 12 member jury, mostly white residents, they struggled to reach a verdict over several days. So yesterday they sent a note to the judge. This is according to the Griot. They sent a note to the judge saying that they were in an impasse. And so U.S. District Judge Rebecca Grady Jennings urged them to keep trying, and they returned to deliberations. And then the judge reported there were elevated voices coming from the jury room at times during deliberations of this case. And so essentially, jurors told the judge yesterday they were deadlocked on both counts against Hankinson and could not come to a decision. Let's talk a little bit about this, folks. Share your thoughts, post your comments as we are talking about this for a minute and looking at this particular case around Breonna Taylor's killing. 10 shots were fired. Her place, her neighbor's place, the boyfriend, everybody was at risk. And Brett Hankinson is responsible for those shots being fired. Now, the other part about his whole situation is that he was acquitted by a Kentucky jury last year on the charges of wanton endangerment. Wanton endangerment. The state prosecutors had alleged that he illegally, and this is according to the Griot, he illegally put Taylor's neighbors in danger. And then months after his acquittal last year, the U.S. Department of Justice brought new charges against him, along with a group of other officers involved in crafting the warrant. And now we're at this point where there's a mistrial. Wow. So he still hasn't felt the full brunt of justice for his role, and more importantly, for his actions in this case. Pastor Damon Blissett, my brother, you said this mistrial is plain ridiculous. Only one black person on the jury. One black person on the jury. This is still 2023, right, Brother Damon? Oh, okay. 2023, 11 white, 1 black. You don't like my music. You say they kicked in the door and started blasting. It was cold-blooded murder. Yeah, if you would go back to the details of this situation, the thing that got me was that they did not, it was based upon that controversial policy of the quote-unquote no-knock warrant, that they can do that. Just exactly what you're saying, you don't like my music, that you can bust in the door, do what you need to do, and answer questions later. Answer questions later. So we're on, again, this is one of those things, right? And the no-knock warrant has been brought up. Some states have banned or at least changed some of the policy. But as it results, as it relates to this particular case, folks, it still hasn't been fully addressed, dealt with. And it's interesting that you have a deadlock on the jury, that the mistrial even happened. There's a mistrial that even happened. And because I don't think people understand, and I must say this, make this point, and then we got to take our first pause. I don't think people understand that the level of trauma, let's just use that term, y'all, the level of trauma of being in a relationship with the authority that's supposed to keep you protected and feeling safe, when they violate your civil rights, what that does to you psychologically. I don't think folks truly understand that we say police brutality in the black community. That is a crying out for justice. That when we say police have infringed upon our rights, so in this case, police have violated our civil rights, I don't think we truly understand like what that does. If someone were to bust into your home while you were not expecting it, or if they do one of these little taps and then they come into your home, the place of your own safety and solace, the place of comfort, the place where you're supposed to feel like if this is your space that you can control. You can't control anything outside the doors. But in your home, that is the space that you have control. That is the space where you feel safe. And to have that violated the way these officers did for Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend, and then not to render justice because you're looking at, oh, well, the police thought it was one lady, but this black woman was killed senselessly based on a mistake by the police. And you don't like my music, you saying, what was it over? Drugs. It's always drugs. Wrong. They were following, I think they were following, if I, with the case, they were following the boyfriend. And they went to her home because that's where the boyfriend, because of the relationship. And it led to the killing of Breonna Taylor. Lana, you said, my sister Lana, good to have you back into the chat. You said, and y'all think we can quote unquote work our way out of this system. Absolutely. You don't like my music. You also pointed out, you said, don't they realize that many Americans are robbed and might think they are being robbed? Absolutely. It is psychologically traumatic to have a bunch of police officers bust into your home, guns drawn, people yelling and screaming. Yeah, yeah. Cindy D, you said there was an assumption of drugs. Nothing was proven on her part. Justice for Breonna Taylor. Look, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to check in with our sister, Corinna Denise, one of our great culture crew members. She brings up a point that I think that is appropriate for us to consider as well as we look at this case of this mistrial. And we'll continue to talk about this along with the issue of voting, the narrative around the black vote, how this narrative is changing and how it can completely impact how we're having the conversation about voting and political engagement. So, folks, we're just getting started. Stay with us. Stay tuned. Jump in the chat on Roland Martin's YouTube page and stay with us. It's the culture right here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together, so let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We have been talking about the unfortunate announcement about the mistrial of our sister, Breonna Taylor, and the fact in the case of Brett Hankerson, who was charged with using excessive force that violated our sister's civil rights, and how that trial was determined, how the jury could not make a decision to charge or to move forward with the charges against the former Louisville police officer who fired stray bullets in the deadly raid of Breonna Taylor and her ex-boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, who fired in the building, who felt like he said he had to react, he had no choice because there was a single shot that was fired from Kenneth Walker in response to the police coming into the door with no warning. And so there's a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion, but it was Brett Hankerson that fired 10 shots into the building, killing Breonna Taylor, causing harm to the neighbor, to her neighbor, and leaving a mess of a crime scene. I want to bring my sister Corinna Denise, who is a college advisor. She's an advocate, political strategist, and she talks about this case. Corinna, first and foremost, happy Friday. Good afternoon. How you feeling, Corinna?
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. All right, Corinna, you bring up something about this case that I think I wanted to highlight, right? I mean, this case is already, this has been one of those landmark cases. This has been a part of this, not just the Black Lives Matter movement, but this has been a serious case that's used as the part of the larger conversation about police brutality and protecting Black women, that movement there too. But the fact that they had 12 members of the jury, 11 out of the 12 were white.
Mm-hmm.
And that brought us to this place of a mistrial, of a deadlock within the jury. What's your take on that?
Well, we shouldn't be surprised that there was a mistrial, right? Considering the
Right.
makeup of the jury. But, this is why, and one of the many reasons I always stress voting, right? So a lot of folks may not know, but the jury pool is selected from folks who are actually registered to vote. So even if you're not turning out to vote, which I strongly discourage, we should, they're selecting from registered voters, and we have to get involved. It has to be more than just protesting, because Faraji, how many of us who take to the streets in incidents like this, when our people are hurt, when our people are murdered, right? And then lead that frustration into the ballot box, lead that frustration into a jury booth, right?
Yeah.
We should be the ones sitting in that courtroom deciding the fate of this officer, right? How do we get a hold on this? And now there's a mistrial. So now the family has to deal with this all over again and wait for it to go to trial. So it's just this perpetual cycle of never ending pain or closure for them, right? And you know what else? To my knowledge, last I checked, I still don't know if an actual ballistics report was conducted for Raji to determine the bullets that actually came out of one of the guns, right? That one of the police officers were injured. I can't recall which one.
Yeah, he was shot in the leg. Shot in the leg.
They never did a ballistics report. They just automatically assumed it was Kenny, Breonna's boyfriend, from his gun, right? And you know what? I dare say that it was probably the bullets from one of his colleagues who were outside of the apartment firing in while he was inside where he actually got hurt. But I say all that to say it's unfortunate that it's a mistrial, but we shouldn't be surprised here. Again, we have to realize where our power lies and break this damn system. You know, why don't we just do a takeover of it instead of trying to work through it? We need to be the ones on the jury deciding the fate of these murderers, right? Then we wouldn't have to deal with no mistrial. I know it's easier said than done, but that's where we have to focus here to kind of pull the reins, because we could protest, but if we're not getting involved to break down the systems of power, then how do we end this? How do we defeat them? And now we're here. So please, you know, we have to consider the other benefits of registering to vote. We have to be in the courtroom. We have to be the ones making the decision. His fate could have been in our hands, and we need to remember that moving forward.
That's a great point. I think that's an excellent point, and it's you know, Hot Mess Summer. You said I have a thing on my community post about that and how they could never connect Kenny to manually shooting. Right? It's been inconclusive that Kenneth Walker did fire that single shot. So, but that's what's been kind of reported, but it has been inconclusive at the same time. So we don't know. To your point, we don't know where that first shot could have came from, or the shot that was inside the home.
Or unless they know and they're hiding that too, like they do everything.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think you're right. Getting back to the point about, you know, and this is, let's be clear. The conversation about voting participation, voter issues on a federal level is a different conversation than you have about voting and political engagement on the local and state level, right? Because the local and state level, you're exactly right. When you are a registered voter within your state, within your area, your district, or whatever, that puts you into the pool to be selected for jury. Now, the other part about this is this too, that jury selection is part of the legal process where both the prosecutor and the lawyer for the defendant, they both can choose, allow certain juries, like when you have that process of, okay, let's scratch this jury out, keep this juror in, because it works to the advantage of their case. So it's a number of different things, I think, Corinna, about this case that is just very, very sad. They're going to try to take this case again and try to see if something else can be kind of move forward. But the fact that this man, Brett Hankerson, did not get prosecuted from the state, and now we're looking at these federal charges, and there's no prosecution there. He essentially is walking free, and no one is being held accountable for the death of our sister.
You know what else too, Faraji? I just thought about something. I guess they're like, you know what? You can't have two victories within the same amount of time, right? The same time frame. Now we just, we kicked Kentucky kicked Daniel Cameron's ass out, right? You're not going to be governor for your wanton disregard. I'm going to use his words of not prosecuting these murderers, right? So you can't also have the officer, sentenced. We're going to do a mistrial. So man, it just seems like this constant tug of war. But, I think the point that we're both making here is we got to just learn how to play this game more strategically to beat them. They are evaluating jurors, and both sides do have a say as to who they can select for the jury pool. So we gotta study this thing and figure out the best strategy to approach so we can make sure we're getting selected so that we can actually, have our say and locking his ass up.
Right, absolutely. Cindy, you said something, and I got to take a quick pause, but Cindy, you said my sister was a juror. They ask you if you watch cop shows like Law and Order. So they're gonna look. It's a win-lose strategy for when you're looking at how the court how you looking at how this thing plays out, right? It's a win-lose strategy, and it's really unfortunate. We could talk about jury selection. We could talk about what was the evidence that was presented, right? You know, did the prosecution really prove their case that they had the type of, evidence that is without a shadow of doubt, without any type of suspicion? It's so many different factors in this situation, but the saddest part about it is no accountability.
Right.
That's the saddest part about this case. That if this happened in a white community, if this happened among rich people,
it would have been a wrap already.
It's a different conversation. That's the sad part. And guess what? I think that now we have to kind of chalk this up as another loss, but it is another opportunity to power us to move forward, to get more involved, whether you're talking about as a voter, to get on those roles to be a juror, if you're talking about to become to get in the legal positions, like if you're talking about becoming a lawyer. But this should not stop us. Matter of fact, this should empower us to let us know that even though in 2023 we may come further along with some things, we still got a lot of work to do right now. We got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about, as we talked about getting on the rolls, let's talk about voter registration, and more importantly, the narrative about Black voters and the impact that we are making. There has been some significant wins from this past election that we had over a week ago. Now we want to see if the conversation changes. So we'll have that discussion up next. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all. All momentum we have now. We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Raji Muhammad. Joining me has been my sister, Corinna Denise, who's a college advisor, advocate, and a political here on the show. And talking a little bit about, I threw in political. I threw in a little political. Talking about, speaking of politics, we're continuing the conversation talking about the power of the black voter. And USA Today put out a piece saying that, and Corinna, you brought this to my attention. So I wanted us to have this discussion. But it said that we actually showed our power in 2023 in this past election that we just had last week. That we showed our power, and in the heading it says, "Here's why black voters could pick the president in 2024." So wait a minute. First and foremost, why do you think there is this ongoing narrative that, well, first, do you believe that the narrative that President Biden is losing black voters, do you feel like that is an accurate narrative right now of where black voters are?
Yes, definitely. He is losing some black votes and some other votes as well. But I do think to an extent it's exaggerated. You're constantly hearing in the mainstream media like, oh, the polls say, but they never specify which polls, right? And how often do you take a poll, Faraji? How often do you get, what I'm saying?
I got one call. Like 2 weeks ago. Real talk. I got one call about some
coming from. And it's just like they are determined to craft this narrative to discourage us and to suppress our vote, knowing how vital it is. We have to consider all of the misinformation that's online and in social media. And we also have to acknowledge the complicity of the damn mainstream media with Donald Trump, because he has stayed in the news, right? Relentlessly. They won't let up because of what? Ratings. So, in my view, I think they are determined to keep crafting this narrative with the black vote and, being not within Biden's reach. And, when you start to hear stuff over and over and over again, right? Some people, unfortunately, a lot of us can be easily influenced. You start to believe that. It's no different than the folks who watch Fox News all the time, right? Where they're playing into their emotions. And even though they're voting for things that would directly impact them, they're so fixated on being scared, right?
Right.
And their whiteness. So I was very happy to see this article because it's one of the few that I came across where they're actually acknowledging our power, right? And we should acknowledge this and recognize that we have the power to change things. We saw, the Virginia state legislature maintain, Democrats are still maintaining their majority, right? And now they're gonna have their first black Speaker of the House. Glenn Youngkin, sorry for you. You can't pass your damn abortion ban. That that shit failed. It's done. This in Kentucky, right? And we have to recognize our power politically in these areas because, especially with these states in the South, we're seeing a rollout, right? Just like a screen test of what they want to do federally across this entire country, and we just can't have that. So I think we are powerful. I hope this is a motivating factor. And we have to remember that we have to fact check. And just because they keep saying these things, especially like even the New York Times, right? On one hand, they're reporting, constantly, Biden is losing the black vote. Well, on the other hand, I don't know if anyone recently saw their reporting on Donald Trump wanting to put undocumented people into concentration camps. Okay. Like he is just a straight up fascist. So we gotta look at both sides of this spectrum. Would you rather go with the latter and lose this thing altogether and we're under an authoritative rule, dictatorship? Because that's where we're headed. And it sounds extreme, and I've said it a lot of times on the show, Faraji, but damn, they have been extreme. So we have to call it as we see it. But yeah, guys, we have power in numbers, and we have to recognize that power and demonstrate it everywhere else. And like I said, I don't give a damn about a system. I believe in us, our agency, our authority. We have our say. And if we show up in record numbers, then hey, maybe in the future, we can actually have a substantive third-party conversation. But we got to collectively demonstrate our power to the maximum capacity.
I think I'm gonna just end the show. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. What you want me to say, Corinne? What you want me to say to that? Let me just break down some numbers to give folks some more context as to why Corinna is so mad and excited at the same time. Take a listen to this, folks. Now, we talked about how the president right now, President Joe Biden, is actually trailing in about 5 to 6 key battleground states. We talked about this news came out earlier this week based upon a recent poll that was done, and that how former President Donald Trump is pulling a 22% of black voters in those 6 key battleground states. 22%, the highest for any Republican in modern history. Says a lot. So President Biden, he won 92%, y'all. Listen to this, 92% of black support in 2020.
Yep.
92%. I think President Barack Obama actually topped him. Now, of course, he's probably the only president that has actually gotten more. I think close to like 95, 96%. But Corinna, you could definitely fact check me. But I know he got a little bit more than 92%. He damn near got all of us when he was running for office. But President Biden got 92% of our support in 2020. According to a September Yahoo News YouGov poll, they found that only 66% of black voters would choose him if the 2024 election were held that month in September. So in the month of September, we're in November now, but in the month of September, we were 66% of black voters were thinking about would choose President Biden.
You know, it's
So
interesting
that means a lot of
getting
done that.
polled. It's interesting how all these black folks are getting polled, but for some reason we're not making it onto the jury bench.
I mean, that could be by design, though. You know what I mean? That could be. Look, how many black men? If you have criminal records, if you are considered to be biased, the pot calling the kettle black when you're talking about this system, you're not going to get called. You're just not going to get called.
Seems like we always hear all the complaints, but very rarely all the compliments, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. So we're looking at a situation where this president really does have to work to get every single vote. Now, one of the big things that it talked about from the 2023 election was the point that you just made, the issue rather, around abortion. Abortion is a huge issue, especially in some of these key battleground states. In Ohio, more than 8 in 10 black voters, a bigger proportion than white and Latino voters, supported the measure of protecting abortion rights until viability, which is typically around 24-week gestation.
Right.
So about 80% of black voters supported this idea of abortion rights and protection. That helps, of course, that is part of the reason why Ohio was able to make that historic move.
And I got some notes. You know, I take notes.
I know you take copious notes.
Let me just see here. You know, wait.
Let's take a quick pause. Look at you. Oh my gosh, this is Professor Corinna Denise, y'all. Let's take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's have more conversation and look at this situation about the power of the black voter in 2023, moving into 2024. Folks, crew members, y'all post your comments, share your thoughts as we're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube page, and let us know what you think about this, some of the statistics around it, and more importantly, how do you see black voters moving as we get closer to that national election day of November 5th, 2024. Stay with us. The conversation will continue on the other side here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Raji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation as we are talking about the power of the black voter, and especially looking at from 2023 moving forward to 2024. We are streaming on all of our platforms, starting with our home platform of blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app, follow us on social media, and most importantly, please give something to help power us in this digital movement that we are embarked upon. So make sure you go to your website, go to our website at blackstarnetwork.com, and we would love to have you join us as part of one of our investors in this medium. We're also streaming on Amazon News, on your Fire TV, Amazon Prime Video, as well as Plex TV and Freevee. So make sure y'all check us out on all of those spaces, and let's continue to have the conversation there. All right, and the final place, of course, we're streaming on Facebook under Roland Martin, as well as on Roland Martin's YouTube page, and it's on our YouTube, on his YouTube page, where you could join us right now to be a part of the illustrious culture crew and share your thoughts and post your comments as we have these conversations. And we'll do our best to try to get as many of your thoughts into the conversation as possible. All right, and as my sister Lana has been saying, please like and share us. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already in the crew. If you're already in chat, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and make sure you stay informed about what we're doing. All right, there we go. Let's go. Let me bring my sister Corinna back into it, because Corinna, we're talking about this voting situation.
Yes.
And it's showing that we do have some power. We did change the game. But I think some people are kind of surprised that there was a 92% support for President Biden in 2020. That has dropped, according to some recent polls, that support has dropped from 92% to 66%. And now that new poll came out that says that 22% of Black folks are actually considering voting for Trump.
Mm.
Now, let me just share with you what my sister, your sister, Tiana said. Tiana said, look, I'm not here for the bull. She said, I don't know about y'all. You know how black folks, I don't know about y'all, but I don't want a dictator. So I will be voting for Biden. It's a
Thank you,
hard
sis.
conversation.
Thank you, sis. Because ultimately, we think we're going to not vote for Biden as if we're punishing him somehow, when ultimately what we'll be doing is punishing ourselves. You know, we're so laser focused on supposedly what Biden Harris are not doing, and we're not even paying attention to what the damn Republicans are doing.
Yeah,
You know
I
what?
agree.
You know, and
I
something
agree.
else too, and I think we mentioned it recently, just Google
Yeah.
Project 2025. A whole damn Bible that's been manufactured, so calculated and strategic about how they plan to take over if they regain power next year. And then you ask yourself, because you know what? I don't want to just be in this situation, Faraji. I don't want to be
Yeah.
one of those people where, oh, we tried to tell you or I told you so. Because at the same time, we will be living with the collateral damage. So, you know, we got to pull brains now. You know, if you want to withhold your vote, you know, just to feel right. And you're going to vote for a racist. But you know what? We got short-term memories. That's the problem. It was just, I remember watching in real time. I believe it was around April 2020. I'm in my Brooklyn apartment when we were in the height of quarantine, right?
Dependent. Right.
And this racist got on TV and basically told all of us to drink bleach.
I
Okay?
remember that. I'm not going to hold you.
To
I'm not going to
drink
hold you. I remember that some while.
And I
like,
know it's been like 3 years. We're about to be going into maybe about, no, well, actually like 4 because it's COVID-19, but like the height of it, we're about to go into that 4th year after. We have to take a step back and remember. And Black people, you know, we can't, it disheartens me that we can so easily concede defeat sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, we are a resilient people. Look at everything we have persevered through so far, and we're just gonna get caught up in emotion for a moment and make a stupid ass decision that will affect us for the rest of our lives. Hell no. Let's take a cue from their playbook, because Donald Trump, his ass got indictments up the yin yang, but he keeps rising like the phoenix from the ashes, doesn't he? He does not give up, and we shouldn't let up either. And if I'm living under dictatorship and hand in the mouth because y'all want to be willfully ignorant. F that.
I hear you. I hear you. Let me share with you what Michelle McCann said. Michelle, you said at Tiana, I know, talking about Tiana's view that she's, you know, she's going to vote because she don't want to live with a dictator. Michelle says, many African-American voters are not Kamala Harris fans. Many of my students really are considering voting for Trump or not voting at all. It's really sad.
Indeed it is.
Michelle, I want you to give me, I just want to get you, Michelle, if you can post, what age range are you talking about for your students?
Yes.
Are you talking about high school, 18 years old? You talking about college age students? Mm-hmm. Who are you talking about? I just want to, I want us to get that detail first before I respond to that. Cindy D said, I agree with you, my sister, talking about you, Corinna. She agrees with you on that. ABX Girl said, this makes me renew my passport faster. Remember, dictators kept many from leaving their country, and we knew what happened next.
I mean, we can renew our passports, but what we have to realize, you know, what would happen if we were actually in that situation? Are we going to be able to escape, you know, so easily? And we say these things like, oh, I'm just going to move to Africa. Well, you know what? Guess what? Everyone doesn't have the luxury to do that. You know, I think if we did, we would have left a long time ago.
Right.
You know, so we just throw out these ideas and they're so nuanced. And again, we're not considering people in real time. Like, what would that look like for us, right? So I'm not, you know, that's a great idea. You know, if you wanted to go home, you want to live somewhere else. But considering how extreme they have been, do you understand? They want to take away birthright citizenship. Okay, I'll give you an example. My mother has been in this country since she was 17 years old. She became a naturalized citizen at 23. She takes voting very seriously. But I say all that to say, They could flip it and reverse it and say, you know what? You don't have birthright citizenship, Corinna. Your mother's papers weren't right when she came here at 17. So your ass has to go back to. We're not
That's
looking at
crazy.
all of the implications that this could entail. So we
Yeah.
have to get out of this personality contest because it's not. It's a vote for you, for yourself, for our livelihood. And it's a chess game. Someone said in the chat the other day, and forgive me, I don't remember who it was. I really wish I could shout you out. But they said something along the lines like politics is not dating. You know, like we have to.
And what does that mean? What do they mean by that?
You know, you're not dating. You're making a strategic move. It's not about who you necessarily like. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
okay. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. So it's
you
not
gotta
like
vote
you're
in your
just.
best interest, right?
Yeah. I see what you're
You
saying.
know,
Politics
but
is not dating. Gotcha.
yeah,
That's
so
interesting.
we got to be smart in that. But you know, let's just take a moment to focus in on what we're talking about here, you know, with our power and how we demonstrated that. And the note that I just wanted to point out before we went on the last break, there's a quote from the article saying, you know, specifically to Ohio, you know, what we saw is an issue that really matters to the Black community, speaking in terms of, you know, abortion, that is finally on the ballot, that they didn't have to wait. Okay, this is something I hear a lot of complaining about all the time, or discussion or conversation. They didn't have to wait for a politician to deliver a policy for them. They could deliver it through direct democracy for themselves. They petitioned and they got abortion to be on the ballot, where the citizens, the voters, made a decision. Hell no, you're not going to ban this. Right now in Florida, you know, groups are here working to get abortion on our ballot for next year. Usually you have to have, if I'm not mistaken, fact check me because I don't recall in this moment, but about 60% of registered voters have to, you know, give the okay, yes, for that to be on the ballot. So there's so many intricate details that we miss here. But folks, we can't concede defeat so easily. They're not letting up, and neither should we, because we are resilient.
I absolutely agree. Michelle says she teaches college, Corinna. She teaches college freshmen in Texas.
Ooh,
So,
Texas.
she teaches young people in Texas, and they are talking about either voting for Trump or not voting at all. So you're talking about what, 18, 19-year-old, pretty much
Yeah.
first time voters.
And what's informing their view? Because, you know,
That's the question. You know what? See, after a while, we start thinking alike because you come on and you hanging out with we hang out
yeah,
with
we
each other a
gotta
little bit
ask our
too
young
much.
folks these questions,
No,
right?
that's
And
real.
not to point the finger, like I know when I ask it, I genuinely would like to know where is this information coming from? Because if we don't make these inquiries, how do we combat misinformation?
Yeah.
You know, what's shaping their view? And they are the most impressionable and easily influenced, right? Just with a TikTok. Oh, it must be true. They're not thinking to fact check or to, you know, to refute someone's view and be like, now hold on, now what now? Where'd you get that?
Yeah.
Where'd you hear that from? You know, and we got to start doing that to kind of identify all of this misinformation, because trust me, they're targeting the young people more than anybody. We have to reflect on our past and recognize, again, all of our great leaders of the civil rights movement. These were young men and women. It has always been young people. So, of course, they're going to come for our young people, and they are trying to hold on to white minority rule for whatever and however long they can. And if they regain it in 2024, we can expect to see it last for at least another generation. So, Michelle, you know, I would be talking to them, trying to, you know, share what you know so I can learn it too. You know, and we got to be gentle and share some, you know, some facts.
No, and I agree with, and I'm sure Michelle, and I appreciate you, Michelle, for being a part of the crew for today, and I'm sure that you will. Tiana has reached out and said, hey, make sure maybe you could talk to your students about Project 2025, and I don't know, Michelle, if that's a part of that can be added, or I know how college spaces can be very, very sensitive about certain issues. So,
yeah,
you know, you're being informed, so I know your students are being informed. And it is something that we have to keep in mind. Playhouse, very quickly, you said, I hate them all, talking about the Democratic and Republican candidates. You said, why could we not find someone else to vote for on the Democratic side? I do not like neither. I hate both sides' policies. Kamala Harris Kamala's husband has been unfortunately a negative for her.
So,
She got so Playhouse is not feeling nobody.
Playhouse, did you vote in the 2020 presidential primary? Because again, everyone is complaining about who ended up being the nominee, but Joe Biden didn't get there by himself. There were like a whole bunch of other people running.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're a registered independent, no hate on independents, I'm about to just state a fact. You don't get to vote in the primary. So I'm not identifying as a Democrat necessarily because I'm like, oh, the Democrats, it's my thing. No, it's a strategic move. This is a chess game. I want to have access. So I'm a register as a Democrat because I want to pick someone in that primary.
I agree. I definitely understand. I understand both sides of the sentiment. I understand all the different sentiments. You know what I'm saying? I get it. And see, this is not fair. Let me just say this very quickly. It is not fair that Black America, we have been put up against the wall, backed into a corner because we have no other group of people are dealing with this reality that Black America is currently dealing with, which is we haven't fully been able to benefit from the system. As you can see by the numbers, we are dissatisfied with the system. And at the same time, if you look at the numbers, we are the ones upholding the system.
Because
we don't get no benefit. We're dissatisfied, but then the pressure is on us to keep the system going.
No, well, I think we need to reframe that. We need to break.
All right, well, let's take a quick pause. You can school me. You can school me after the break.
All right.
And then let's see what the crew has to say. Stay with us. More coming at you right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network with my sparring partner, Corinna Denise, y'all. Every Friday, I know we about to go. Corinna always taking me there. All right, look, let's continue to give a few more minutes to the situation about the power of the black vote. In 2023, we showed out. We were able to make some gains in this past election cycle. But folks are looking to say, okay, Democrats were still able to hold the line. Democrats was able to make some gains, taking on some significant races. But the looming concern is the fact that there are a number of black voters that are actually considering casting a ballot for former President Donald Trump. And more importantly, considering even to stepping out away from, stepping back or not participating in the 2024 election. This is an ongoing conversation, folks, so this is just another installment of that. Mm-hmm. But looking at this, I want to, kind of look at how this is all playing out, Corinna, because there are so many people that are concerned, and I understand it. Yeah. I truly, truly understand it. Like like I said, I feel like we're in a corner, and we have to try to fight. And maybe I'm wrong on this, but it feels like we have to try to fight for the soul of America. I don't feel like this type of pressure is on any other voter. It's on black voters. That we are the ones upholding democracy. We are the ones that have to fight for the soul of America. I don't think white America feels this type of pressure. Latin America feels this type of pressure. Korean Americans feel this type of pressure. I feel like it's on black voters.
Well, yeah.
And I don't think it's fair.
That will be beneficial to all. It's not fair.
I agree with that statement. Yeah. But here's the thing. You want us to come out and show out and stand with you and ride with you, and you want us to all of those things. I need more gains. I'm not saying that you haven't made any gains, because you have. This administration has. This administration is trying to turn some things around, and I appreciate that. I recognize that. I see you. Mm-hmm. But on the areas of that we still need gains for, yeah, we can talk about HBCUs and all of these things, right? But we still we have a disinformation problem. We've talked about it. Mm-hmm. We still dealing with a police problem. Looking at this recent deadlock and this mistrial in the Breonna Taylor case, mm-hmm. we're still not getting the gains that we should expect to get. And let me tell y'all very quickly, Corinna, miss me with the wait on your turn talk.
Oh, that's not even a thought that crosses my mind.
And I'm talking about for Democrats as well. Miss me with that. Like, just wait. We've been waiting since Dr. King's been alive.
When are we going to demonstrate that to them? See, I can't take you seriously if you're not even going to fire me. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about Nancy Pelosi running again, and of course her age came up. But, Sheree's infamous line from Real Housewives of Atlanta, who gonna check me, boo?
Let me tell you what. You know who's going to check us? Here's the thing. Sometimes
and you're not stopping me. Why wouldn't I? Look,
that's why I said, Corinna, when we figure out what we're going to do, it's going to be earthquake. It's going to be an earthquake. It's going to be ground shaking.
And enough of us haven't figured it out.
We haven't figured it out.
When we need to. And here's the thing, right? I'm just going to use this as an example. It seems how we're so dominant, right? For example, take for instance the NFL. We're on the field. Most of the players are, let's just be honest, they're black. But when you look at the owners, what are they? Mostly white men, right? Even coaches. Oh, we might get an assistant coach and stuff, but it's like a handful. Black coaches, we're always good for the entertainment though, right? We can do halftime. That's good. Why don't we look at politics a little bit like that? Why don't we infiltrate? You don't like the laws? Then become the damn legislators and make the law. Break this shit apart. We
I'm with
actually
it.
have access. Like, I'm ready to do a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party right now. But you know, we keep going to like, okay, a third party and this and that. And again, I'm not rejecting that, but we have to have infrastructure to actually make that successful. And
All right,
to
here's the thing on the third party thing. I think could be a potential compromise. If we had main party candidates thinking with third party innovative ideas, right?
no.
Main party candidates thinking with third party innovative ideas. I don't think we should completely write off third party ideas.
Oh no, not at all. But we gotta
You see what I'm
build
saying?
it up.
But if
We
you
gotta
got a
get
main
people out
party
to vote for
candidate,
the third party.
if you got a main party candidate, you be that person, right? If you're a Democrat, start implementing some stuff that you might see from an alternative
But pressure bust
political.
pipes, Faraji, and the constituency, if you want, you got to stay on that ass. Okay? It's no different than when you're with your spouse. Let's be real. A lot of y'all probably in some toxic relationships. Y'all gonna think I'm extreme right now, but let's just keep it real. I'm gonna put talking parables so that we kind of get the thing. You know, you're in toxic relationships, you pressuring that man or that woman to do what you want, constantly nagging them, pushing and pushing and pushing until it busts and they cave to your will.
But here's the thing: if you're talking about caving to your will, one of the questions was posed was, how do you sell this idea to the American people? The American people are looking for results. The American people don't really look. I don't think a lot of American people really care about Democrat and Republican as by name. They're only looking for results. If the shit works, make it happen. If it can improve the quality of my life, make it happen.
We are definitely looking at
I don't
results.
think people are
But we
hung up
have
on
to
the
understand
titles as
though,
much as.
Faraji, yeah, we're just not in a place right now. Like we have
Yeah.
to accept right now that this is a two-party system. And until we decide that we're gonna come out in record numbers to break a two-party system because we want third party, you know, do we really want third party? Because I don't hear any path forward to actually getting our asses there. You know,
I'm not talking about third party. Look. If we ain't ready for a third party, that's fine. That's one thing. But we do have to look at the ideas of whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like, let's not like look over this past week alone.
Yeah.
We've had substantial conversations. We're gonna take another quick pause. We've had substantial conversations. We just had the sister Kamal Walton talking about community land trust, talking about community folks owning and being a part of the housing crisis to remedy the housing crisis in cities across this country, coming together using people power.
Yeah.
Look. How do you sell this to the American people? The American people don't need to be sold on this because we're already being crushed by capitalism. We're crushed by redlining or red tape in industries. Like, you don't look, the American people are seeking something new and innovative. Don't use certain language, but just go with the ideas.
We gotta take a step back and consider who are we defining as the American people.
If you live within the borders of the United States of America, that's who I'm talking about. Let's keep it simple. Like, if we get into this ethnic talk, then we're going to drive ourselves crazy. And I get
You're
that.
right.
And there's an
It could be,
importance.
but I'm just saying how others might consider and how others would define the American people.
Look, let's just say this. When you travel to other places, when you went to Egypt, when you go to the Caribbean, when you go to Europe, they ask you one question: where are you from? It's real simple.
This is very true, but we have
It's
some
very simple.
white minority
I'm from
people
America.
who
Now,
consider
I can't get into no
American
big.
people, Faraji. That's what I'm saying.
I can't get into no big long political diatribe. Like, really, actually, my people. No. I'm from America. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I'm from. I can't change that. I'm not going to deny that part of my history and a part of my people's history. I'm from America. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Let's keep this thing simple, because if we start getting to these other conversations, it's going to take us off track of what our original focus is. At this point, we need some different ideas. I'm not talking about labels. I'm talking about different ideas, man. Something that's going to empower people, make people feel like they have power to change what's going on in their lives. and move forward with that. Remember, we had that young brother from Fletcher, North Carolina,
Oh,
the
yes.
mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina, our brother. Different ideas.
We need
We
more young people like him
and,
to have that level of consciousness to change this thing.
absolutely. And every new idea that we have, or every innovative idea that we have, there is an example right now in America that can be used as a template, as a model. Every idea, I'm telling you, this country is so diverse. It's not one thing. It's not just one view. Every innovative idea, you can find an example of it right here in America. I bet you it's working somewhere in this country. But guess what? We don't think it will work. We can't get out of our way of capitalism, patriarchy. We can't get out of our way of seeing the system the way we've been conditioned to see the system. And I'm pushing back on that now, Corinna. We're going hard on this show.
We better learn.
We're going hard on this show. I'm telling y'all.
We better learn and quick.
We're gonna school you.
We better learn.
No, I gotta take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about reparations. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Let's talk about reparations now, folks. As we know that the conversation and the movement for reparations continues to happen, and even though this discussion about reparations has been more in the mainstream now more than in any other period, there's still a lot of struggles and a lot of challenges to get to a point where America, the United States government, will find itself in a position to repay and to repair the damage that was done to Black people in this country as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. And so the demand for reparations continues to get louder as some of our scholars of the reparations movement has extended their calls for help from the motherland. And I'm talking about all the way to the country of Ghana. In Accra, Ghana, they did a whole summit around this, a whole conference around this issue called the Accra Reparations Conference. And this conference was adding to the growing demand for reparations after about 12 million Africans were forcefully taken by European nations from the 16th to the 19th century and enslaved on plantations that built wealth at the price of misery. Now, as part of this conference, they have decided in Accra to establish a global reparations fund to push for overdue compensation for millions of Africans that were enslaved during the transatlantic slave trade. Now, one of our reparations scholars, Dr. Ron Daniels, who serves as the president of the Institute of the Black World 21st Century, he talks a little bit about this AU reparations conference that was held in Accra, Ghana, and the importance of setting up a global reparations fund. Now, according to Ghana's president, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, he said, quote, "It is time for Africa, whose sons and daughters had their freedoms controlled and sold into slavery, to also receive reparations." Mm. Mm. So this issue that we're seeing in this country is part of a global effort for the world to repair the damage that was done to Black people during that transatlantic slave trade. And it is interesting to see how African officials are now joining the fight to help those of us here in America with reparations. Let me bring my sister Corinna Denise back into the conversation. Corinna, what do you make of this? What do you make of this? A global reparations fund. A global reparations fund, as Ghana is looking to take the lead on this effort to try to bridge the gap between America and Africa through our struggle in repairing the damage that was done to us.
I think Ghana understands that this is a global effort, right? I know there'll be a lot of pushback even from folks right here in our community, because a lot of folks want lineage-based reparations, specifically for Black Americans in this country. But I want to read a quote from the article quickly for Raji, where it says, "Activists have said reparations should go beyond direct financial payments to also include developmental aid for countries, the return of colonized resources, and the systemic correction of oppressive policies and laws." Okay, so I want us to resonate with that, because what does reparations mean? It means to repair. And a lot of my people, we think that it's just a check. Let's be very clear. There is no amount of money that could ever compensate for our struggle, for our blood, for our tears, for our pain. But it would be a step towards, making amends. But reparation also means to repair systems that have been disheveled to oppress us, right?
That's right.
That's right. Our livelihoods. So we have to consider that, in addition to, it's more than just a check. Okay, is that all we are worth to you? No, we want repair so that we can thrive, so that we can leave something behind for our children and for the generations to come. And then also something in the article that stood out to me: the required amount of compensation will be decided through a negotiated settlement that will benefit the masses, said Nkechi Taifa. A lot of you might know who this brilliant attorney and scholar.
We had her on the show.
Yes, I actually had the pleasure to meet her in person last year. I went to a retreat with Karen Hunter, and I actually got to sit down and listen to her and Dr. Carr have this conversation about reparations in great detail, off grid. So she's very passionate about this. getting reparations for our people. But I think a lot of times too, sometimes we get lost in just, the Black Americans, and we don't recognize how we're connected to everyone else in our diaspora, right? Like these races, they understand that white supremacy is a global effort, okay? And we need to understand how that applies to us as people of African descent. I know I just pissed some folks off just now, but it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Black people in this country. But yeah, this is very impressive, and definitely a step in the right direction.
here's why I think that this is, and big shout out to Lana. Lana, you're always so encouraging. You said shout out to Faraji for always telling us about reparations. Let me just say why I think one, I truly believe that we need to continue to have some very, very serious conversations about reparations. Like, there's no better time for us to do it than right now. Two, reparations can serve as the bridge to bring our people together and to open up the world, our view, and I'm talking about Black folks in America, our view of who we are and the struggle that we are a part of. We as Black, sometimes when you sit in America and you're 13% of the population, you struggle from an inferiority complex. But when you go outside of the country, when you go to other places, you start to really see how much of a majority you are. And so if you're under a system of oppression that's constantly beating you, it's like driving into your head that you are less, you are not enough, you are unworthy. But then you get out to the rest of the world and you realize, wait a minute, hold up.
Right.
I can connect with my people all across the world, the motherland, the Caribbean, hell, even in Europe. I got traces and remnants of my history.
That's right.
So you start to open up your mind to the possibility of you being a national citizen, but also a global citizen. You could have been a slave in the nation that you were born in, but you're a free person in the world that you belong to. So it's like we have to open up the conversation. So reparation, as you said at the beginning of the show, Corinna, if our struggle will really be addressed, and Africa is not the only place that's talking. Ghana is not the only place that's talking. Do you know in Europe, there are pushing Black folks in Europe are pushing for reparations, and in some of these Nordic countries and some of these other countries, they're actually having conversations about reparations. See, don't let America make you believe that, nobody's talking about reparations. These other leaders are seeing that if we don't do right by these people, it's not going to be a good future for us.
Yeah, and that's why we have to stay abreast and watch news from a plethora of areas, right? Because it helps you to form an educated view. Trust me, the way that the media might look in Europe or other African countries, there might be similarities, but there are some intricate differences there, right? And so we have to pay attention to that when we're, where are we getting our information from? If it's just from this one source. And yes, Faraji, we have to recognize that we are global. I remember being in Paris. I don't remember which neighborhood, having dinner one night. It looked just like 125th Street in Harlem. Everyone looked like me and you. Everyone. Okay? Everywhere. You go to Puerto Rico, you realize that everyone doesn't look just like, Jennifer Lopez. They look like you and me.
Wow.
Our blood is all up and through. And, we kind of have a distorted picture of that. To your point, living in America, when we form our opinions based on our environment. So if you don't have that exposure to know, well, at the same time, you're being suppressed to learn the true history, then you have this very convoluted idea that, folks that look like me aren't over there, but they are. And I'm glad that you mentioned it, that, you have Black folks, people of African descent in other parts of the world, other than here where we live in America, who are pushing for our repair, who are pushing for reparations, and we don't want to just keep it tied here to us in America. And I'm very concerned, since we're talking about it, about the lineage-based reparations here in America, because trust and believe, a lot of white folks will be in line with their paperwork to get their cut too. And I take issue with that. And don't think it can't happen. Were there not rape? Was there not brutality? Were there not forced pregnancies? They can trace their lineage, just like maybe some of us can, and we have to be mindful of that. So you got to think about, what can you live with. I know for me, I take issue for any white man to benefit off of our pain, off the pain of my people, the backs of my ancestors. Hell no. So
I take issue with that as well. And guess what? I don't think this is reparations talk. It is strictly for the governments of the world. It's a government of the world. And don't talk to me saying that these governments don't, you know what? We shouldn't even have the conversation because it doesn't matter. It matters, man.
It matters.
It matters. Here's the thing why it matters. If somebody were to hit you in your face and then never apologize to you, but expect you, they hit you in your face and then they walk away and bring you some lunch. Does that bring any type of peace of mind to what they did previously to bringing you that lunch? They bring you your favorite food. They laugh at you and laugh at your jokes and stuff. But just 5 minutes ago, you just hit me in my face.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, we have to understand, like, these type of things can't be overlooked. And more importantly, they do leave a mark on how we see ourselves and the relationship that we have with the rest of the world. And I'm happy. I'm very excited. I was just thinking, Corinna, I got to get my sister Nikichi back on to talk about what this look like, because you're talking about global reparations fund, you're talking about investing in countries, you're talking about getting more resources. What does that look like, right? As we see all of these things kind of taking shape here in the States, how is that going to impact? How does that look on a global level? And so I'm very excited about this. I think this is absolutely the right direction that we need to go in. But look, this is something for the governments of the world. If we're talking about making amends, I'm very serious, folks. If the governments of the world is serious about making amends to Black people, watch that future get brighter for that government. I'm telling you.
And one quick thing we won't see here in America until we eliminate the folks who are standing in our way. And that's what I was talking to earlier about us just, willing to concede defeat and just saying, we're not getting what we want from them. Why are we even having this argument? Because, hello, they don't have to be there. We could fire them and put the people in place who will give it to us and who we have to stay on top of that ass to make sure that we get it. When are we going to be willing to do that, to see it come to fruition?
Absolutely. Real Brooklyn, you said, sorry, can't see reparations as a stimulant for bettering yourself. That comes from within. It's choice, it's ambition. I love it, however, that countries of Africa can benefit. I would just disagree with you there, Real Brooklyn. I would just disagree with you. Let me tell you, we can better ourselves from within all day. But then if the system doesn't recognize the wrong that it has committed against us, then I could better myself. Many of us are conscious people right now. But guess what's happening? It's hard to live in a system that's unconscious or unjust.
So something
now we're conscious. We want to think forward. We want to, but if the system, we got to change the system. I'm sorry, I can't separate myself from the system.
That repair looks like, just a quick example. When you're going to make a home purchase, not having to bring your white friend into your house, or to get the good appraisal, where I could just walk, be me in my melanin, stand in it, and not have to worry about that. That's an example of the repair that we need. Across many different areas.
Absolutely. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's have another, just a lighter conversation. But I think it's still some nuggets of wisdom that we can extract from all of these cases about the hell of a week before it is for the Black celebrity, how some of our most notable Black artists and creatives have been in the spotlight this week. And what are we to gain from it? What is that to say to many of us who look up to some of these folks? So stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. Got my sister Corinna joining me. Corinna. All right, Corinna.
Just wondering what you're gonna say next. Go ahead.
I wasn't going to say nothing next. All right, let's talk a little bit about. I really just saw this, right? Because I've been keeping up on the gossip and the conversations about what's going on with all these people, right? But it's been a hell of a week for Black celebrities. Let me tell y'all why. 3 cases. Now we just heard yesterday that Sean Puffy Combs, aka Love, aka Diddy, is under some serious allegations levied against him by his former girlfriend Cassie, who has gone to the lengths of not just talking about the abuse that she experienced while being with him, but more importantly, filing a lawsuit against the music mogul. And in that lawsuit, I'm telling you, she talks about a number of things, from everything from physically being raped and physically abused during the course of her relationship with Diddy. She's talked about drug-induced memory loss. When she said earlier on in their relationship, she claimed that Combs introduced her to the fast-paced drug and alcohol-induced celebrity life. So she was lured into using everything from ecstasy, a copious amount of drugs ranging from ketamine to cocaine. She talked about just a few months into their relationship, she was allegedly forced by Diddy to fulfill his sexual fantasies by hiring a male sex worker to perform acts with her. So there is she claims that he would make her and the man wear masquerade masks, ingest drugs, and perform sex acts. And he would record the whole scenario. And there's some form of sex trafficking. She talks about how in 2015, during her birthday party, she was forced to leave to do a freak off. However, when she arrived at a hotel room, some of her friends were already inside. And so out of an anger and intoxication, the suit says Sean Combs picked up one of her friends and dangled their body over the balcony of the 17th floor hotel suite. He also nearly got physical with another one of her friends in 2018. However, the suit says he paid the woman off in a settlement.
Ooh, that was a lot.
That's a lot. That's just her allegation. That's some of the big takeaways from the lawsuit that was filed against Sean Diddy Combs. All right. So we talked about that. Talked about Will and Jada. Right. Will and Jada. Now the rumor has brought back to the forefront that Will Smith and a friend of his, Dwayne Martin, formerly the husband of Tisha Campbell of Martin fame, how they had a sexual encounter years ago based upon the claim by a former assistant of Will Smith, where he said he found the two men having sex in a dressing room years ago.
Mm.
Jada responded on a recent showing of the Breakfast Club. It was yesterday that this is ridiculous. It's nonsense, and more importantly, that they're planning to take legal action in that case.
Mm.
And then you have Keke Palmer and Darius Jackson. Keke Palmer, of course, the multi hyphenated actress, singer, performer, and how she has also filed claims of abuse by her former boyfriend now and her
Straining
baby
water.
father, Darius Jackson, and how they too have, she has been in a very hurtful and
Oh my
harmful
goodness.
relationship with him.
And Faraji, like, there's actually video footage stills that I saw of him being physical with her. So it's, it's one thing when you hear these stories and, you got to have your day in court and prove your case. But I was just like, damn, to see, that footage, like, it's actually out there. And I guess it was obtained because, from what I understand, she had to, I think, turn that over to police. But it's like, oh, there it is. There it is.
I'm telling you, it's all types of stuff happening. Here's the thing that I think we can glean from it. One is, I think if we really think in our heads that riches and wealth makes you a better person,
Mm-mm.
that's first thing, right? Because we've often been taught that, conditioning to believing that, and some artists themselves have perpetuated this view that they are blessed, right? Like as if God has himself anointed them to be rich and wealthy and powerful and influential, and therefore they are better human beings. And I push back against this myth that just because you're wealthy and rich doesn't make you excellent.
Oh no. Oh no.
I push back on this.
The love of money is the root of all evil. And you know what? It's so funny. You see a lot of people who are wealthy, but they're so unhappy because, money can't make you happy. Yes, it can improve your life. It can enhance your life. But, it's not, happiness is something that you have to create for yourself. And that can look different for everyone. But money is not the end all be all. And yeah.
No.
It's not going to stop you from having problems. We are human at the end of the day, and that's it. All of us will have trial and tribulation.
Absolutely. And I think the other part of it is, it just goes to show us the importance of having a moral compass.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not saying, look, I'm not making judgments. I can't say who is responsible for what and who did do what and all of that stuff. I'm talking about, we're living in a time where so much emphasis, Corinna, is put on the outside of us, what you look like, what you dress, what you drive, right? That the inside, the stuff that matters the most, the values, the character, your morality, those things are not being cultivated enough. Now, none of us are saints. I get it. I'm not a saint. I've had experiences, but at the end of the day, one of the things that I think is important for us to keep in mind is that wealth doesn't mean moral compass. Fame doesn't mean that you're better.
Yeah.
That none of that matters. And we know that a lot of these celebrities live in glass houses, right? They live in glass houses. And I tell people all the time, man, poor people, working class people, we got morals, we got values, we hold on to us. If you think that anyone who attains this much money, fame, notoriety, has gotten to that point without doing some dirt, you are sadly mistaken. If you think that they've gotten to that point without being a certain type of individual, without compromising some part of themselves, you are sadly mistaken. And this is not necessarily shade on them. It's just a simple fact that this system that we're a part of becoming rich and famous, it's going to force us to lose something of ourselves. You gotta. I truly believe that. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong.
There's always some sort of sacrifice now, isn't there?
Yeah, because you can't possibly be at the top of the top, right? And see people as people. Maybe it's not too general. Maybe is that a blanket statement? I'm just checking myself as I'm saying it.
Well,
No, I don't
unless
want
you
to come
bring
off
some
like
folks
I
with you
know. I'm just
to the top, but some people don't bring folks with them when they get to the top, and then they're lonely.
yeah. And imagine, look, a lot of our celebrities, black celebrities, they come from humble beginnings. We come from
Yeah,
nothing,
yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So you all of a sudden you come from nothing, you get something, and you maintain that something for a while. So you have access to money. You got access to anything you want.
Hmm.
People, drugs, lifestyle, anything you want.
Yeah.
And you don't think the human being is going to partake in a little something of this and a little something of that. Like, I think celebrity culture has gotten so crazy now that
Oh my God.
we put people on a pedestal next to Jesus.
We sure do. And we look to them to be our leaders and everything. And they're just human beings just like us. But woo, Faraji, that was a lot. Can we do trans posts and doing the most next week? We need some lightheartedness.
We will have to do that. You know what? Next Friday, I'll do that for you, Coretta. Trans posts are doing the most because they doing way too much. Corinna Denise, I appreciate you as always, my sister. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure y'all follow my sister Corinna on all social media platforms at the Ren REN underscore Ren 84.
Thank you,
Ren 84. And I thank you so much, Corinna, for all of your insight and your great wisdom that you espouse to us each and every Friday here on The Culture. Thank you so much, sis, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Same. Thanks, Faraji. Peace, crew.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Man, oh man, what a fantastic week with a fantastic show. I want to thank all of my illustrious culture crew members for joining us today. Thank you. Being a part of the conversations. Man, oh man, look, there's a lot. There's a lot that I'm just trying to process it all, y'all. I'm definitely trying to process it. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. All this week, we've had some dynamic conversations, and most importantly, some great insight that's been shared. So I thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, is Roland Martin Unfiltered coming up at you. Make sure you do your due diligence. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And also make sure you give something to help power us in this digital movement at blackstarnetwork.com. You can do all of that to also see past shows and everything that we've been doing. So make sure that you show your love and your support in that space. Also follow me on social media. You can find me at The Real Faraji on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter at Faraji and on Facebook. You can find me at Faraji Muhammad, but hit me up on my Instagram. Love to continue to build the community there. So thank you. All right, folks. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk on Monday. We're going to have a short week next week because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but I really hope and pray that you have a fantastic weekend and look forward to reconnecting with you next week. So thank you for tuning into The Culture right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Peace.